round of applause for our guests, everybody. The Kyoto Brothers. Right here, and very thanks, everybody. Keep it going. Yes. Managed to run them over to Caesars. Wow, we made it.
You haven't left. That's great.
Thank you so much, everybody. Thanks for sticking around to our audience. Film holds up, yeah, it's better than ever, in my opinion. Yeah. So let's start off with the iconic character design. When did that first come to fruition in your brains? I mean, they're such a part of the zeitgeist now, but where did they originate from?
Well, the spaceship was really designed after a amusement park ride we went to at Rye Beach, New York, called the Magic Carpet Ride. And it was really a fun house that we had experienced. But then Charlie, which is Memphis design,
You know, I wanted to do something different that was clown-like, that was childlike. And at the time, there was Pee-wee's Playhouse.
Woo!
And I looked at it and I said, you know what? I was in a bookstore and I said, hey, this book looks like the stuff they use in Pee-wee's Playhouse. It's called Memphis Design. It's a design style that's it's adult kid stuff. Funny shaped furniture, dressers, beds, chairs. And I said, you know what? I'll let that guide me. And I used the Memphis Design to design the look of the clown world.
Yeah, but then the Clowns really started off with a conversation between Charlie and Steve about being able to have unique silhouettes that you'd be able to immediately identify the different clowns.
yeah, starting with simple geometric shapes. The heads and the bodies were a sphere, a triangle, an oval, an upside down pear shape for both the heads and the bodies. And we just kind of played with those silhouettes, simple geometric shapes in order to create, let's say, our clown posse.
Yeah, I put a little asymmetry in it, and I drew from my favorite artists from Mad Magazine, Jack Davis, Mort Drucker, the Looney Tunes, the classic Merry Melodies and Looney Tunes with the three bears, with the big baby bear, the doofy baby bear, and he would pose and when I would go, Dave. That stuck with me, and I wanted to imply all that stuff that made me laugh into the clowns.
Yeah, and then I mean a lot of people ask like, oh, are they like in makeup? Are they wearing clown makeup? And that's not what they are. They are alien beings that look like that. That's the animal, their skin texture, the marcations. That's that's what they look like.
Yeah, they're sort of like white pulpy slugs that have like a slightly anthropomorphic kind of look to them. And their patterns are like a leopard. Those patterns we see on their face is their leopard stripes and things like that.
Yeah.
And they were the influence they were ancient astronauts that kind of influenced our vision of clowns.
You know, now that I think about it, Fatso does kind of have a Jabba the Hutt vibe to him, right?
Amazing. Can we hear from the actors what it was like working with the brothers' creations? Or inside sometimes for our friend on the end.
Well, yeah, let's start with that because, like, I always feel it's better and more holistic to go from the inside out, right?
All right. The masks were about an inch and a half thick latex, and once you got in, you're not getting out until the day of shooting was over or the scene was over or whatever. But it was a while, and we just talked about this earlier. If you have claustrophobic feelings, it would be your worst nightmare to be inside those masks.
And from what I've heard, Herod requested specific airplane glue that made his experience a little bit more entertaining.
Thanks, Grant.
It was a barge cement that we used to get in there. They glue shoes together in the shoe factory.
Thanks, Charlie.
The airplane glue we didn't want to use because they were using that to get high on, but putting it in
They used it often. But Charlie was our Clownzilla. He played Clownzilla, Big Boss.
And that just so fun at the end. When I step down, imagine I'm 4 feet up, I got clown shoes and the steps I'm landing on my heels. I have to figure out where it is because I'm looking through the teeth. My head is in here. I'm sweating like a dog. It's 115 degrees. If I fall, I have to figure out a way to roll so I don't break the nose. And that was on my mind. I did it like 3, 4, 5 times.
Yeah, you made like
By memory, trying to figure out where my feet have to go so I didn't face plant.
Still had to get up, shoot Bin Laden, and get out of the compound before the...
And mind you, we were shooting high-speed photography, shooting film, so Charlie had to do it quickly, so that it would look good in slow motion.
And they had a nail, the bozo, the JoJo head was nailed on it. I was pounding away full speed, and a nail went through here.
Listen, it could have been worse. It could have gone through here.
And Grant, can you talk about acting alongside these creations?
I mean, listen, to be honest, you know, it was never, I had to act the scary part because I was just so excited. I mean, listen, 3 to 6 months beforehand, I was just so excited because I knew the work that these guys were doing and were capable of, and I think I got to go. You remember? I don't know if you guys remember. You invited us to come and see the shop, and so we saw all the clowns and everything, and we were just, you know, we were just kind of like in awe in a way, and it was our first time working with, you know, this kind of special effects, creature creation, and doing something, you know, that was so kind of crazy and out of this world. And so 100% we had to just, you know, wrap ourselves up and act the scary part, because we were just kind of like, oh my God, that's so cool. Can I feel your nose? Can I, you know, let me see how that works. We were just kind of in awe of the creativity that these guys were producing. So it wasn't like, you know, we arrived and it was like working with a grizzly bear where we, you know, we didn't have to act because, you know, it was really so scary. It was we were in awe of just the creativity and the coolness of it all.
Working with animals is difficult. You know, working with Pooh Bear was difficult. Working with clowns, I don't know, it's not that bad. But you know what? The most difficult thing, the most dangerous thing is, you know, if you wore diving flippers and stuff and trying to walk around, well, the clown shoes were more difficult than that. We were scared to death that one of the clowns were going to kill themselves by falling down off some of our platforms and stuff like that. Did you have any problem with the shoes?
I did actually.
He has problems at the photo ops. What are you talking about?
Thanks to you guys, it was a set. You know, the elevator with the popcorn gun, it was a set. And it was all built up right there, but you didn't tell me that on this side, it was just like a 2-foot drop trench. And I couldn't see, and I'm high as a kite on that glue that you gave me. And I almost, my shoe was on halfway and it almost went over. And if it would have went over, I would have went down. But I was a college basketball player. I was in great shape, and I think that's partly why they picked me. And the main guy, Jumbo, was actually a bigger man than me, a semi-pro basketball player, 7'1", and he was amazing. Steve Rockhold.
It's a trick. You really have to learn how to fall. If you're in a suit, if you're a suit performer, you know you're going to go down, especially if you have, you know, leg extensions and stuff like that. So you have to learn the correct way to fall. And we had a stunt coordinator, Rocky Capella, that was working with the guys, I think. You know,
Most amazing.
Mike Martinez.
Yeah.
The most amazing thing was watching Herod fold himself into the shorty costume. I mean, like, I still don't know how he did that.
Next one's for the brothers before I open it up to the audience, but can you discuss your history in underground homemade filmmaking and how it gave you inspiration and tools for the craft to pursue the VHS market of the time?
Again, we were inspired by all the films that we saw as children, so our 8mm movies that we were making were really kind of knockoffs of some of the films we really loved. I'm sure you're familiar with our classic Sludge Grubs, right? Or The Beast from the Egg, right?
The Other World filmed in Super Kyotomation.
Come on. Yeah, and these were they were epic things. We used to get on our bicycles, put all our props and puppets and scenery on the back of the bikes, and go up to these exotic locations like Burrs Lane or the beach, and we'd actually shoot our movies. And it was a form of play for us, very much like we did before we got the camera. We would have our army men and dinosaurs, and we kind of make up stories in the dirt. Well, filmmaking was the next step into making those stories come alive that you can share with an audience. So that was it. We were playing.
Yeah, there was a film I made in college called Free Inside. It's about a box of cereal, and a guy pulls a little toy dinosaur out and and puts it on the side, and while he's sleeping, the thing grows and becomes a giant plesiosaurus which terrorizes the campus.
And it's funny, it kind of came full circle. We were in 91, 92, we were working with Sid and Marty Krofft on the revival of Land of the Lost. We were co-producers, and we were doing almost exactly what we were doing as kids. Stop motion animation with puppets, doing forced perspective shots and foreground miniatures, hanging miniatures, and the pay was about the same.
If you guys haven't seen, if you guys want to see their really cool dinosaur work, you've got to go and, I probably can see them on YouTube, go and check out their Cup of Noodles. They did a whole bunch of amazing dinosaur with little cavemen commercials for Cup of Noodles, and they are awesome.
Oh yeah, we have a YouTube channel, Scary Brothers YouTube channel, and we have all of our old movies.
And then this and Cup of Noodles spots. You can check them out.
They're actually, I think on one of the DVDs, the last DVD, there's a really, Daniel Griffith did a wonderful compilation of early Kyoto Brothers films, our film history. I was really impressed by it, and give you a good feeling of what we went through. The sludge grubs, where smog is the reason, and these giant crabs are killing people on the beach. We did that one too.
Well, that was funny too. We were entering these Kodak film festivals as kids, and we would always lose. We thought our films were the best.
We get honorable mentions.
Yeah, but these ecology movies were winning in those days. This is like in the early 70s. So then we decided to do an ecology monster movie called Sludge Grubs, where garbage comes alive and starts killing people. We still got honorable mentions.
Always the bridesmaid, never the bride.
Raise your hand if you have a question. We'll try to get to you. Yeah, right up. We're going to do front row for being brave, and then second row. So you right there, Liana, and then you behind.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I've noticed in that some of the clown designs, there's some striking similarities to some of the trolls in Ernest Scared Stupid. Is that a coincidence, or were some of the masks and parts reused for that?
There are no coincidences.
No. Yeah, you wanted to know if some clown designs were used in Ernest Scared Stupid. We get that one a lot. The only things that were used were the molds for the clowns had been destroyed years before. So what we had left was maybe some ear molds. I think we used some ears from the clowns. Other than that, they were original sculpts based on John Cherry's designs, who was the director of the Ernest movies. And I copied those. I tried to capture the essence of his characters. I just reproportioned them because he had the heads the same size as the bodies, and that wasn't conducive for costumes.
Yeah, and then of course with Charlie art directing them, art directed the clowns, designing clowns, art directing, designing the trolls. There's a similarity because it came from his hand, and just all of the work out of our shop in general.
It was interesting that John's shapes for the heads were the same kind of heads, the peanut shape, the triangular one, the round one. So we were able to his chubby trolls had basically the same shape as the killer clowns, and he hadn't seen the movie, so.
Second row.
Yeah, do you guys remember how many different clowns you guys created for the movie?
We created 4 sculpts. We made 2 characters per sculpt, and Clownzilla was a separate. Any background clowns were made out of scrap castings from those 4 original sculpts.
Yeah, there were a couple of different ear designs that, mix and match, became Mr. Potato Head at that point. And so like a lot of the characters that you see in the movie were done from scrap castings, additional castings, and the clown team kludged them together. And so all the clowns that you love and named are all out of those same 4 main clowns.
So here's a crazy bit of trivia, which I've actually learned by hanging out with these guys, is that none of the clowns actually really had names in the movie. Yeah, no, all of the names you hear, Slim, Shorty, Rudy, what other clowns are there? I mean, there's yeah, exactly. And then now they've all been immortalized with the pops and the sculptures and all the different things, but it's all been created by fans.
Yeah, that's fans. That's what fans call it.
100% fans.
As Bunko contacted us and said, okay, what are the legitimate names of the clowns? And we said, No, we don't know.
I had the list that I wanted to call them, but they said no. The fans wanted to be called this. Like we called one Killer, the Mooney clown, the ventriloquist clown. The fans called him Jumbo. We called him Tiny. The fans called him Shorty.
Yeah, we had names for them on set. Hey, bring Shorty, bring Tiny to set. But they were not in the context of the movie whatsoever.
Oh yeah, but we didn't have, I called him Ozob, which was Bozo spelled backwards. He was Slim. I guess you guys call him Slim.
Because if we used Bozo, the Larry Harmon estate sued Transworld.
But again, like, they were just names we called to put on a call sheet to determine which clown it was.
I want to know where Rudy came from. That is the one that.
Rudy has a great toy coming out. Spirit Halloween has a beautiful standing figure. It's gorgeous, holding the popcorn gun.
Someone's been very patient in the aisle there, yes.
What are some other films you guys have contributed to stop motion animations?
What are the films we contribute stop motion to? Well, Elf, Jon Favreau's holiday special with Will Ferrell, Elf.
And the opening titles and the
Yeah, we did the stop motion animation in Screamers, Peter Weller's Screamer.
Large March.
Team America?
And most recently, Marcel the Shell with Shoes On. And he produced the animation, and I was supervising animation director.
We did the 6000 SUX commercial in RoboCop, the original.
What was it? Darkman. There's two shots that I animated. The hand getting burned on the electrode, and the hand doing the typing. That was stop motion animation.
Freaked.
Gumby and Poggy doing.
Nasty.
And don't forget Cup of Noodles. We did Cup of Noodles, but maybe people don't realize the shadow gag in Killer Klowns from Outer Space were flat stop motion wire puppets with foam and clay that we basically shined the light on them and photographed the shadow on a miniature wall,
did a
animated
high-con.
by Justin Cohn.
A high-con and an optical print. And Clownzilla was supposed to be stop motion. And we do it, and we couldn't afford ourselves.
I was cheaper than stop motion.
We have time for a couple more questions. Dead center, you're very eager.
Yes, Sean Vernon.
Oh.
What an amazing, serious guy. I hear from other people that have worked with him. What was it like working with the great Sean Vernon?
He was great.
John was awesome. I mean, everything you can imagine, just thinking about him as a fan of like your favorite performances and things like that, like that's how we felt about him when we went to work with him. You know, he was a larger than life, incredibly animated, somewhat intimidating, but also like, we were also aware that he was an amazingly kind of, classically trained actor. So, there was a certain amount of, once again, kind of awe and intimidation of going to work with him. But he was wonderful, and he had his character down beautifully. And I was saying earlier today that if you watch the scenes, they all kind of, he's kind of the sun in the center of our little universe. Everything kind of revolves around him in those scenes. He was really has been amazing, and an actor with a tremendous amount of gravitas.
And he had great sense of comic timing. In the scene in the police station where he was squirted by the little flower, the first take I just had the flower squirt once. He got it. And I said, that was pretty good. I didn't want to get the guy soaking wet. Then John said, no, let's do another take. Let him squirt me once, a beat, and then a little short squirt afterwards, a second squirt. And that's the take we used. It's just a great comic button to that scene.
Yeah, you know what? What's neat is he really liked doing the film. He spoke to Edward afterwards. But the thing is, if he were here today, he'd be so thrilled with how his performance is received as Mooney the cop.
And with all of his gravitas and everything, he had no ego. That's the amazing thing. I think that's why he translated over to comedy so well, because he as an actor, I just love other actors that they just give themselves to what they're doing. You just throw yourself in like a child would throw themselves into playing Batman or something, right?
Yeah.
And he was like that.
Yeah.
He just threw himself into whatever it was with zero ego, even though he was this classically Shakespearean trained actor.
You reminded me, there's a scene in a police station when Dave the cop is confronting Mooney, and Dave is yelling at him, and then Mooney gets quiet. These kids are toast. So, not getting bigger, he got small, and he had more power. Just getting smaller because he had the power. He was great.
Yeah, he was absolutely amazing.
Yeah, and like last night's shooting, where I was hanging with him and talking and stuff, and he got it. He understood. You know, he'd done Dean Wormer, and he said, you know, the Dean Wormer character, you know, the kids really like it, and you know, this Mooney thing, I think he's kind of in the same realm. I think, you know, he's really going to be popular. He's going to be like a breakout. And then he pitched to me that, hey, you know, I think he should come back in the spaceship at the end of the movie. It's like kind of like a zombie. You know, he had a good time. And he saw early on that the movie was what you guys see in it 35 years later.
Yeah, and if John Allen Nelson, if Dave the Cop could come back, and the Terenzi brothers could come back from being blown up in the ice cream truck, we could have brought back Officer Mooney.
He's pretty dead.
But I have heard that if there is a sequel, there might be some creatures called zombozos. I don't know, I just a rumor.
That makes sense in the clown
Watch
world.
out for Larry Harmon. You know, we can't use bozos.
All right, last question is the super eager in the middle, yes.
Sorry, big fan, love your work. Thank you so much for your contribution to cinema. Really, aside from kissing your ass. Have you begun production yet on Killer Klowns from Our Space 3D? And if not, what incentivization would it take for you to consider shooting in Calgary, Alberta?
That's a long story. It's a 35-year long story. You know, we started working on a sequel right after we finished the film. So it's been 35 years of pitching to this executive, that executive. He gets fired, another guy gets hired. Hollywood works at a glacial pace. It just takes forever. What we're hoping for is the fans, you guys. There's a lot of merchandise happening right now, and I think they're not very confident in financing or funding a cult film. It doesn't give them the kind of bankability they want. But I do think there's proof that it's bigger than a cult film. It's a pop culture thing. With the sales of the Funko Pops and Spirit Halloween.
And the video game coming out. That could be a real...
a game changer for us.
Yeah, move the needle in a pretty significant way. You know, I think it's the chance to step up and show that this isn't just a cult classic. It does have mainstream appeal.
And they have us attached to it creatively because they realize the power of you, the fans.
You guys.
Because if we weren't involved, you'd be pissed off, I think.
Somebody would do some CG crap, you know. We're traditional. We would do it the same way.
Yeah, they got the. Oh, we have the. My son-in-law's a digital artist. Let's do you know, Killer Klowns with CG. You know what? We're gonna use CG a little bit. We're adding it to our bag of tricks, our practical tricks. We're gonna give you the clowns that you love.
Oh, we have a trilogy in 4 parts planned.
We're gonna barge in a whole new bunch of clown performers into suits.
Yeah.
Well, honestly, it's been an utter honor having you attend the festival and attend HorrorCon. They'll be around all day tomorrow, so please do stop by to have some stuff signed and to support HorrorCon. But a round of applause for our guests, everybody.